Day 3 8 am everyone wakes up to the alarm. They all gather in the garden to sing Bigg Boss anthem. 9:30 am Nimrat says why is Priyanka making her coffee? Charlene says she's making for here's LF. Nimrat says I've to check. 9:45 am Priyanka says to Ankit it's too much burden on Saundarya. I feel so bad for her. Abdu says on camera I miss all my friends. Manya says I have to clean. Archana says I won't help you the next time. Sumbul dances around Saundarya. Saundarya says it was so bad last night. 11 am Nimrat asks Saundarya if there are enough groceries. She says yes I will make up for everyone. Archana says to tell the chores. Charlene says to call him Abdu. Abdu eats spices and says so spicy. Tina and Shiv laugh. Abdu says I am not eating this. 12 pm Shiv says to Manya just do your work. Don't worry about others. Manya says I am sick of them. Nimrat and all of them are on one side. He says just do yours. Nimrat says this is self-obsession. Manya says Charlene and Sumbul are rubbish. They mess with people. Shiv says all serial people are on one side. 12:45 pm Abdu does exercise. Shiv says Abdu, aren't you tired? He says I am dead. Abdu over. 1 pm Shiv and Abdu dance and sing nice to meet you. Sajid says Hasbullah forever. Abdu says I will break your glass. He goes boxing. Sajid says Abdu forever. 1:15 pm Bigg Boss says to Nimrat there is one contestant you're having a problem with, Priyanka. She's doing the chores even when you're stopping her. She says that you clearly directed that only 3 people should do the chores. This looks really bad. He says let's make it easy for you. Let's take punishment from one of them and give it to Priyanka. Who will you let go from Tina, Sondri, and Manya? She says Manya because Priyanka is feeling bad for her. 1:30 pm Nimrat says there has been enough drama. People are doing work for others. Priyanka was being Manya's spokesperson, she was feeling bad for her. So now 3 people will do all the work, Tina, Saundarya and Priyanka. Priyanka says I came so late. Nimrat says you were instigating them in the morning too. It was their chores. I had to decide it. I know how to do my work. If Bigg Boss has a problem he will let me know. Charlene says I am glad Manya is free now. 1:45 pm Bigg Boss asks Sajid to do a stand-up comedy act on the contestants. If you do it well, you will get something nice. You have 2 hours to prepare for it. There is a pen and paper in the store. 2:15 pm Manya says a girl who has such a big fan base, she's holding a guy's hand and not playing herself. If you wanna show yourself you've to show your own personality. Sumbul says my papa loves this kurta. Charlene says it's very cute. Manya says it only looked good on Siddharth and Shehnaz because they were pure. 2:30 pm Abdu goes into the pool. Manya says are you okay? He says yes I am fine. Priyanka says I don't know swimming. She says you should come like a macho man. He comes out. Priyanka says hottie. 4 pm Tina says we have had a dinner date here. We can put our dinner and a candle here. When can we do it? He says anytime. She asks today. Abdi gets shy and says no not today. 4:45 pm the comedy session is live. Sajid reads the poem. He reads, बिग बॉस का घर है निराला ना चाकू छुरी ना भला फिर लाफरा डाला सिर्फ AIK को मिलेगा प्राइज मनी विद टैक्स डिडक्शन चलो AIK करके कर डेटा हन इंट्रोडक्शन. He reads about Ankit that he's stuck here. No fights, no smiles. He won't cause any trouble. One last time, he and Priyanka aren't a couple. He says the second is Abdu. From Kazakhstan to Hindustan he became the life of the country. He might be small but his heart is a hall. He says Priyanka doesn't cause trouble herself but has to get into others' problems. She calls her she's a goddess but according to others, she doesn't know anything. He says Sumbul is here for the finale. Shiv Marathi BB winner, go nominated just before the dinner. He says Archana, sometimes sweets, sometimes firebrand, here to set new fights trend. He says Charlene, after Bigg Boss he's the voice of Bigg Boss. Before coming here he was saying you're Farah's brother, why did you nominate me? He says Manya, Indian beauty, had cleaning duty. He says Tina if you tease her she will make you kanya, crooked eye, be careful Manya. Sajid says Saundarya's only thing that matters for her is teeth. He sings for Gauri. Sajid says Gautam acts like a panelist, he's a finalist. He says Captain, she has many friends except Priyanka. He says about myself, this house is my home now, tolerate my comedy now. Bigg Boss says now contestants will pick thumbs up or down to show if they liked it or not. Archana gives thumbs up, she says it was fun. Saundarya gives thumbs up, she says I loved it. Tina says this made the environment better. Charlene gives thumbs down. Charlene says I thought you're carrying a grudge. MC Stan gives thumbs and says comedy should be taken in a lighter tone. Ankit and Manya also give thumbs up. Priyanka gives thumbs down. She says you prepared well but you took out your grudges. Sumbul, Gauri, Nimrat, and Shiv give thumbs up. Abdu says really wow, he gives thumbs up. Sajid hugs him. Bigg Boss says now is the time to give you a reality check. When you go back in you will see all the grocery is on carts. Each room will have their grocery and they can eat only their grocery. Sajid will decide who gets what. 5:15 p.m. Sajid says to Charlene don't play games with me. Salon says let me speak as well. You can say whatever you want. You had to bring up the past again. Manya says I gave thumbs up for his smile but he said I am always cranky. Sajid says I don't trust you but let me win that trust back. I am sorry. Charlene UGS him. He says you're sensitive I won't crack any jokes on you. Charlene says you keep bringing her name so that isn't good. Archana says if you didn't like it why did you give thumbs up? He had to make people smile. MC Stan says don't take everything personally. Sajid apologizes to Manya. 6 p.m. Nimrat says to Sajid you need to decide. He says I will keep the coffee. Whoever wants it takes it from me. He divides other things. He gives 6 chicken packs to Charlene. Srijita says this is not fair. We should have some packs. Charlene says you wanna cook separately. Charlene says there is a medical reason. This is mine. I don't want any vegetables or fruit. You can convince and take it from him. Gautam and Charlene Ayu. Sajid says to Abdu as long as I am here you won't be hungry. Srijita says to Charlene Saundarya is vegan. Bigg Boss asks Charlene, Saundarya, and Gautam to come to the confession room. Bigg Boss says Charlene has a medical condition. We change the menu for his medical condition. But there is 4 kg chicken. You can eat cheese and other protein too. Charlene says I need 15 grams a week. Charlene says but I don't know for how long will we have this chicken. Bigg Boss says everyone should know the truth. Charlene says I am sorry. Bigg Boss says you took makers' names and made these claims. Srijita says everyone will get the chicken. Charlene says this chicken came for me. Srijita says Bigg Boss said he said half-truth, which is a lie. Charlene says that's not a lie. I haven't said anything wrong. Srijita leaves in anger. 7:15 p.m. Charlene says we were discussing. We were deciding to divide. You called me a liar in front of everyone. Srijita says Bigg Boss said it. Shiv says we have to divide the vegetables. 8 p.m. Priyanka says we kept food in the room. Stan. Ankit says I was distributing it. You didn't even come to pick it up. We should all work equally. He says everyone has to do it. 8:15 p.m. Abdu teaches Sajid his language. Abdu laughs. Sumbul asks for coffee. Sajid says Shiv took it. Shiv says to Tina who said the word shame. Saundarya says I spoke to Sajid for coffee, not you. Srijita asks her to calm down. Saundarya says you don't know the topic. Shiv said I won't get it. Tina says we can divide it. Sajid asks Saundarya to calm down. She says he called me shameless. Shiv says I said nothing disrespectful. Saundarya says you can't talk to me like this. Go to a side. Get out of here. Shiv says I won't sit in your feet. Saundarya says to learn to respect women. He says we are all equal. Saundarya says don't play these games with me. Sumbul says what language are you using Shiv? You're wrong. Abdu and I did all the cleaning. Saundarya says he called me shameless and to go from there. Sumbul says I always clean the dishes. Shiv says everyone can say anything. I am not uneducated, she called me that. Priyank and Sajid calm him down. 8:30 p.m. Charlene says to Shiv you can't shout at a girl like that. Shiv says sorry to Saundarya. She says I don't need your sorry. He says you also said I don't have shame and I am uneducated. He says should I kneel? She says you don't mean it. You can't disrespect me. Don't justify your words. She cries. Charlene and Priyanka console her. Abdu tries to cheer Shiv. Saundarya says I was always nice to Shiv. Is this what I deserve? 8:45 p.m. Saundarya decides on the bread. Tina sings for Abdu. Abdu says every good voice. 10:15 p.m. Priyanka reads Bigg Boss is giving the captain a key to the chocolate box. Nimrat says thank you. She is happy. Charlene says share, please. 11 p.m. Tina says I took flour for my 2 pieces of bread. Gauri says we should have our own stoves too. Sumbul says I am eating for 2 people. 12 a.m. Abdu jokes with Gautam. Gautam says once lights go you're gone. Get egg bread butter coffee. Srijita says we are teaching him theft. He sneaks into the other room and takes things from there. He shows it to Gautam. 12:45 a.m. Manya plays with Abdu. He says I will talk to the camera. He says bye good night, I love you. Everyone cheers with him. He says I love you all good night. 1:30 a.m. Manya says Shiv was sorted. Sajid messed it up. Priyanka says maybe. Manya says Shiv needs to come out of his shell. Archana says to Saundarya people would say this was a chance. Lucky people get into Bigg Boss. Episode ends.